All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're listening from. And I would like to do another podcast psychological call today on System Wins Championship. Today's call is going to be asking traded on pattern recognition skills, which I truly believe is, as a day trader, as a scalper, which is what I would say I fall into primarily. And this conversation, I would say, will evolve and will be primarily focused on these type of trader. You really want to focus on improving your pattern recognition skill. I would say that there are two main phases of developing and then perfecting your pattern recognition skill. Now, when I say perfecting, it doesn't mean that you know exactly how to catch your move and so on and so forth. Like at the end of the day, right, we do not know what the market will print or will deliver tomorrow, the next hour, and so on and so forth. All we are doing is identifying pattern that has appeared in the past and then essentially catching those same patterns in the future. We're not doing anything else but that as day traders, as swing trader. Yeah, even as a swing trader, that's what we're doing. As a day trader, you have to understand that we are recognizing patterns that have happened in the past, and then we are trying to ensure that we're catching those same patterns in the future in order to be able to make money from those. So that means that as a day trader, you want to identify a pattern that you can monetize. The issue with most day trading nowadays is that you will get online and you will hear someone mention about a strategy or some type of model, and there are no sort of back testing, no sort of data behind that model, and then it looks just like a random pattern. And at the end of the day, there are many patterns in the market, but does that mean that every pattern is monetizable? Can you monetize every single pattern in the market? No. The pattern that you can monetize from the market are the one that actually adapts with market, turning points and seasons. If you don't have data to back that up and to confirm that that's the case, you won't be able to trust your pattern recognition skill. So the first thing that you need to understand is that for you to actually trust your pattern recognition, because a lot of the time we're not able to enhance and build a pattern recognition abilities because we first of all cannot even trust it. Your subconscious cannot trust it. Your deep confidence behind your action cannot even trust that because you're doing BS activities. You're doing activities such as copying people's patterns that have identified, and you don't even understand why is that. That's the reason why when I teach my student, I will teach them the reason why, right? I try to teach them the contextual knowledge behind what I'm doing, not just the procedural knowledge. Procedural knowledge unlocks only 1% of the power of a pattern of any sort of model. Contextual knowledge, on the other hand, unlocks way beyond that, 10 times faster. It is the reason why a grandmaster will memorize many games move, right? By memorizing, most importantly, the context of the move more than anything else. They will not try to memorize this move by remembering the process of placing those moves. That's why they can take games from different matches and find patterns that they can see coincide, and sometimes even build new pattern of their own because they understand why it was implemented. They understand the psychology behind it, and then the context around it. That's what you need to understand when you see a model. What is the context of that model? Why was it created the way it was created? Ask the question behind the statement. Ask the question behind things are working the way they are. Don't accept things for how they are. Question things for why they are the way they seem to be. If you develop that ability to consistently question, to consistently determine why things behave the way they are, you ultimately understand the frame. Once you ask the right question, you can see the frame. But without asking the right question, you can never really understand. You'll always be outside of that frame. You'll always be operating outside of the correct frame. So that's extremely important for you to understand. Don't go online and copy influencer models. You want to maybe learn from it. You maybe look at it as something interesting. If you see someone post out something and then they're posting some type of model, but they don't tell you how many years, they don't tell you how often they have practiced it, they don't tell you there's something that they're utilizing themselves to make money from it. Please do not trust that. Please do not trust that. Because here's the thing, if this is a model that they're doing to get some views, and then you ask them the question, so what type of data do you have behind it for you to say that this is a profitable model? Number one, that's the first question I will ask if I was in your position. Number two, I would say, how many years of data have you utilized this model? That's the second question I will ask. Third question I will ask is that, what is the framework you're utilizing to build this model? Like, what led you to create this? What sort of event in your life, in personal life, led you to create this, and why does this work so well for your personality? These are the type of questions you need to be asking when you're talking to people. That will allow you to gather important information, important data to help you enhance your own model, to help you enhance your own system, your own abilities. Without doing that, you will simply be stuck consistently figuring out how and why things operate and move the way that they're moving. You want to be able to identify whether or not the model that you are hearing about, the piece of information that you are being introduced to, does that have any sort of validity behind it? Is it going to actually help your current model and current concept that you're developing to perfect your own way of trading? I can say right now that I have perfected my model. I don't think I will be adding anything new to that anytime soon. I have essentially 3 to 4 models primarily. I have a day trading model for the most part at best. I would say scalping at best day trading models. So I have a arcane dynamic range model, and I have a volume order block sweep. Those are the names that I give into it, don't mind it. And then I have my arcane A plus model and my arcane A plus retest model. Now, some of these models that I'm describing here, that I'm just giving out the name, were all developed through blood, sweat, and tear, and some of them perfected through luck, a little bit of luck. But some people may say that I perfected those models via luck, but I'm gonna actually tell you this: it was earned luck, right? It was earned luck, because if I break down how complex and intricate some of these models are, they're really not. They're very simple. If I describe it to you right now, if I break down the exact steps to look for entry, once you have the foundation understanding of the core concept, it is really, really easy to understand. But to actually simplify it that way, to not having to look at different things when trying to trade, right? It's the whole point of trading. Deep down, there are people out there that can come into the market at any given point, create money, and go about their day. But how the heck do they do that? Why do they keep saying that it takes less to make more in trading? Why do they keep saying that you don't need more in trading, you just need less? All these are true, but they're true in the right context. They're true because once you master pattern recognition, you can see the BS. You can see through the noise. You don't need to necessarily absorb everything. You simply need to absorb the right thing. And when you absorb the right thing, that means that you keep everything that you are consistently implementing and working very, very simple and very, very lean. That's what you need to make sure that you understand. Whatever you should operate with has to be lean. And I truly believe for someone to be successful in day trading, you at first need to begin as a jack of all trades. I think that's probably the number one trait of a successful or profitable day trader. Someone who has the ability to manage multiple things at a different time. Because if you never really learn to have the skill set to just simply adapt regardless of the environment that you are in. Remember what I said in the beginning, right? Having that ability to develop conceptual knowledge versus procedural knowledge. You're never really going to master that skill set. That's probably like the number one skill set. So meanwhile, people bash on being a jack of all trades. In the very beginning of your life, when you're learning to develop a skill set, in old days, in old times, I actually heard about this, listening different principles and stories and lesson from Machiavellian principles, that for someone to develop a skill or a trait or to eventually become a master within a specific domain, they needed to go and learn from different masters. There had to be a jack of all trades at first. And then I truly believe the reasoning behind this process of student and younger generation at the time wanted to become master. But first, for them to become master, they had to go and learn to actually enhance the conceptual knowledge and the conceptual skill, abilities of understanding different concepts. But most importantly, having the ability to be nimble, having the ability to be flexible with their mind, and having the ability to consistently adapt. That's how a leader should be created. But in today's day and age, we are being preached that if you are a jack of all trades, you are most likely going to fail because you will never be able to focus on one thing. When originally, when you are young, when you are 19, 20, 21, 18, even 17, 16, those years are very important for you to begin that journey of essentially mastering different things. So if you're day trading, you probably want to be doing other things on top of that. You're going to be probably doing 2 to 3, 4 things at the same time as you're day trading. Maybe building a business, maybe going to school, maybe mastering some other stuff. Once you begin learning something completely unrelated to day trading or completely unrelated to some other thing that you're working on, you will be able to see a pattern learning that one thing that you can take and then move into day trading or take to move into another area. The only way for you to see to actually maximize the conceptual learning phase or conceptual learning skill is by doing multiple things. It's by trying to master different things, because you will hear me say about conceptual learning, but until you really are doing multiple things or trying to master multiple arena or different phases, it's going to be very, very tough for you to be able to utilize that conceptual understanding from one domain to another domain. Have you ever read a book? You go through the book, and the book, it is quite knowledgeable, it's amazing. So for example, it could be like a sales book, right? Jordan Belfort, Straight Line System, that's another amazing book. The Laws of Human Nature, Robert Greene, that's another amazing book and an amazing read for self-development. Your Next Five Move by Patrick David, those are amazing books. If you ever read any sort of like self-help book, maybe when you were younger, maybe you were like 20, maybe you were like maybe 19, even 24, 25, and then maybe you gain some level of understanding, some really good knowledge, but you really never saw the true benefit of it. So you just put it aside because it sounded good, but you couldn't really see how you could leverage and utilize that. So you just say, okay, cool, it's great information, but you couldn't just see how to implement it or be more practical about the information that you're learning. Now you go through life. Maybe you made some friends, maybe you got a new job, maybe you started a business, and as you start that business, you start encountering some issue. Maybe you start a new relationship, you start seeing maybe pattern around someone taking advantage of you, and then you go back and reread that book, and then you are mind blown because you're like, wait a minute, I see the pattern from this book. I seen the lessons from this book more vividly than I saw it the first time when I read it. And it's not random that you're able to see it now. The reason why you're able to see it now and you can actually see how to implement that and actually infuse it into your life and make your life even better now is because you're taking a step, you step into the domain that allowed you to see that lesson. See, a lot of the time, if we don't step into the domain that allow us to grow and being able to no longer be blind to certain things that can allow us to maximize the knowledge that we are learning, you just won't be able to. That's the reason why I say the way to unlock conceptual knowledge and skill set developing or learning is via being a jack of all trades. You can't just be doing one thing. You have to try to be different things, different person. And that's what it means to be a leader. A leader adapts. A leader is put under different situations, different scenarios of pressure. When the market moves, right? For example, the open of the market, the 9:30 open, I'm comfortable in that volatility. Another period of time when you have tremendous amount of volatility is 3 a.m. Another time of volatility is again 7:30. Those period of time when market will offer a tremendous amount of volatility. Now, what you don't want to do and what you most likely will experience in the very beginning because you don't have the experience is that you may get shaken up because you're like, oh man, I've never seen this like price move so fast. You get scared, right? And then it takes time for you to adapt. But if you had done some other things that put you through some level of pressure, conceptually, you would have understood that this is what the market does to you. This is what life does to you. It creates chaos to destabilize you. But if you remain calm, you can see through the noise. That's just an example how sometimes if you're doing other things that have already taught you how to handle stress, taught you how to handle, managing yourself under pressure, because you've been accustomed being in that situation. If you're running a business by yourself, or let's say you're starting your own business, and then you're actually putting tremendous amount of work to actually see it take off, because someone who's actually building a business, especially a physical business, those are tough to build. You are going to be struggling in the first few years, naturally so and rightfully so. You're just going to be struggling. But if you take the time to making sure that you master being under pressure, because some people, when they're under pressure, they cannot handle it. It's not everybody that can be a business owner. Very few people can be business owner, right? Very few people can handle that amount of pressure without cracking, especially because you're going to have different things that get thrown at you. So you running a business and trying to be a day trader, you're going to see certain things that translate over. Because you see the market move a certain way, in the first few times it's going to catch you by surprise. But if you are able to leverage, remember what I said earlier, conceptual understanding and knowledge and learning, right? Skill set, meaning that take some of the things that you have identified here and then try to parallel it to day trading, parallel it to other place of your life, domain of your life that you are currently experiencing and learning and developing. You will realize that they are similar. Business is chaotic. You don't know what to expect. Most people will fail within the first 5 years. 60% will fail within the first 5 years, and in another 5 years, 60% will fail. So 80% of business typically will fail in the first, 5 to 10 years. Usually that's the numbers. It's very bleak and negative, but that's the nature of it. And yet still, a lot of people still want to go after it because although success is very tough to attain, the reward outweighs in the eyes of the person who takes the risk outweigh the risk, right? So people just so choose to take that leap. However, when you take that leap, you're going to learn a lot of things about you in that journey. And as you learn those things, you want to make sure that you remember, you self-reflect, you become aware of what you are learning. When you do so, try to reverse engineer the thing that you have done really well, right? Why was the thing that you did really well was working? The way that you're thinking about it, what was your process behind it? And as soon as you keep doing that, where you self-reflect, you self-analyze what exactly you are doing correct and what you are doing incorrectly, you find something very, very amazing. You will find that it is extremely easy to dominate other domain if you simply carry on the conceptual skills that you build in that, right? And then transfer it over. Conceptual knowledge will skyrocket your ability to learn and recognize patterns. It will improve your ability to master new domain. Procedural knowledge will keep you tied to one. And then you have to realize this. Most of us work around a superpower computer that we don't even understand most of the power that it has. Our brain is a superpower. The elite in this world understand this. What they have done with the media and the system that we're living in today is to make us believe that our brain can only do one thing. We can only focus on one thing. We can only do one thing at a time. And they do that to limit the ability of people, achieving more, and only allowing the elite to actually have their children and having themselves master different skill set, because that's actually what allows you to become a strong leader. Most of those CEOs that you see, they make movies and they make all type of random shows to show incompetent CEO, to make us believe that the wealthy, whenever they make their kid inherit a company or they give them a CEO position, is typically undeserved. But I'm gonna tell you this, most wealthy family, I'm talking about the real elite, they'll send their kids to different schools. They'll have them join sports. They'll have them join this. They'll have them start different things to really train them to become strong. Now, it might be a different type of pressure than someone growing up maybe to struggle and then they have to just figure it out. But there's a formula to actually developing someone into a leader. And the propaganda of the news machine, right, is there to tell us that, well, most of those CEOs are undeserving. I'm going to tell you this, they are deserving. They have been battle tested. There's a formula the lead already implement to develop, manufacture, and excel at this skill so that their kid can actually take over their business. They know how to put their kid in the right situation, in the right framework, the right environment, and then develop different skill over the years. So by the time that they're placed in that position, it's the kid that wants to take over, let's say, a family business, and they have that ability to handle pressure. There's already a formula for it. It's just that most regular people are not invited to the seat to actually absorb and take advantage of this knowledge. So I don't want to make this call too long, but I wanted to make sure that today's call focus on pattern recognition skills and conceptual versus procedural knowledge, the thing that unlock your ability to master and enhance your ability to recognize patterns in the market and then taking advantage of them, what actually allows you to become a profitable trader over a long period of time. These are the things on the back end of those profitable traders. A lot of even profitable traders don't even know this. A lot of them do it subconsciously, they don't even realize that's what they actually are doing. And the one that don't really implement this, but they do it subconsciously, it takes them longer for them to really become successful in trading because they have to learn this very, very hard, like just focusing on one domain, right? But if you really want to succeed long term, you want to absorb this principle that I'm describing. Take it to heart, but finding ways that you can implement it in your own life, in your own way. Success is unique to each journey. So meaning that whatever I have done to achieve my level of success will never be the same for you. So you must find a way to essentially reverse engineer whatever I'm saying and find ways to implement it. If you do that, you customize your path. You forge a trailblaze, a path that will be unique to you that nobody can ever steal from you. Therefore, you feel okay giving out knowledge, feel okay helping. You notice people that tend to have a hard time giving out free knowledge are typically the ones that have stolen the knowledge. If you have stolen knowledge from some other place, you always feel the need to hold most of it or not wanting to share it or want to charge for it, whatever that may be. But when you truly have forged your own unique path, you have to realize this. And I want to tell you this, if you feel fear of sharing it, you should never fear sharing it. Think like Alex Hormozy. He's giving out most of the stuff for free, and that's the right mindset. You should not fear giving it out, because people that really want to excel at the information that you give them, some will obviously be able to take advantage of it and maximize it, but that would not be a lot of people. And some may even try to steal it and then rebrand it, and that is okay, because over time people will be able to tell where that came from. And if someone take that information and make it more popular, people will always be able to find the origin, right? Because if you become big enough to the point where other people that take your information become bigger, people will be able to find you, and then you'll be able to essentially leverage that success and ride it as the originator. Look at ICT, for example. People have rebranded his concept, became so big for many years. Behind his concept, some of these things that he has put out and then packaged. Obviously, those information was from previous day trader and previous traders as well. But when he came out and he released all his library of content, because smart money concept became so popularized because of the rebranding of many of his concepts, guess what? He blew up, because people that leverage his concept became big, but they were nowhere as big as him, because that's where the original information came from. That's the context, right? Because people want to find out the real context behind the information, not the watered down version of it. Look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk gave out the pattern to electric car because he understood this. If you give out this information, if you give it out for free, it will create a new marketplace. If your information is truly valuable, it should create a new marketplace that should allow you to become the go-to person in there. Even if someone else beats you, people will always look at you as the originator. Even if someone else, another company, beats out the electrical company as the number one selling company in the world, they will always look at Elon Musk as the originator. And you, as the originator, you always also should find ways to continuously stay and adapt as you see other people that maybe take upon your model and take upon your information and grow. You should also keep growing. Now, you can remain as the OG of that environment or in that domain. You can remain like that, or you can do like Elon Musk, who he kept adapting and kept evolving and created other companies and other ecosystem to provide more value beyond just electric car. Or you can do like ICT, who continuously release new concepts and new models. You should never fear releasing and giving out to the world when you have trailblaze and then build your path from perfecting your pattern recognition skill, and now develop a library that you know will allow people to essentially just blow it out of the water. It should be for free, ideally. Now, you can charge for it, and that's totally fine. Maybe for a few years you can charge for it. Maybe give it, do whatever you want with it. But that's just my personal philosophy, which is the reason why I do what I do. I give out some of the information that I give out, and then hopefully it helps some of you guys see something that you didn't see before. But with that said, that's all for today's psychological call. As usually, I pray that you find success this week trading, coming week trading. I pray that whenever you're listening to this, you are able to maximize the information from this call and take it and implement it in a way where you gradually and incrementally will see success. I pray that you understand that trading is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a long journey. It's a tiring journey at times, and it's a suffering, right? Success is simply the transfer of chaos from one to another, from one domain to another domain. You have to believe that, right? You truly have to accept this and truly have to believe that. I pray, and I truly pray that you understand that life is a constant transfer of chaos and maintenance of chosen or inherent suffering. Suffering cannot be outrun, part of the beauty of being alive. So as long as you understand this, you will be okay whatever you're going through. You will find your path, and you will eventually reach success. Thank you for listening until this point, and until next time, stay in profit. Jacob here with Arcane Concept. Peace.